The Galactic Rehabilitation Center sat on the edge of known space, a fortress of steel and compassion where the galaxy's most traumatized young were brought to heal. It housed cubs from dozens of species, all rescued from war zones, trafficking rings, and disaster sites. The facility employed the best therapists, the most advanced medical technology, and guards from every major civilization. But none of it mattered to the 17 Krithan cubs in Wing 7. They trusted only one person, Kalen, a human guard who worked the night shift. Kalen had not planned to become their anchor. He was just doing his job when he first encountered them 6 months ago. The Krithan cubs had arrived in terrible condition, their fur matted, their eyes hollow with fear. Krithans were apex predators on their homeworld, but these young ones had been kept in cages by smugglers who planned to sell them to fighting rings. They had learned that adults meant pain, that food could be poisoned, and that kindness was a trap. The facility's director, a Vinlari named Thesic, had assigned a team of specialized caregivers to the cubs. All failed within days. The cubs would not eat, would not sleep, and attacked anyone who came too close. Thesic was considering sedation protocols when Kalen made a suggestion during a staff meeting. "Let me try," he said quietly. Thesic's scaled face showed doubt. "You are a security guard, not a trained therapist." "I know," Kalen replied. "But maybe that is what they need. Someone who does not push. Someone who just exists nearby." Thesic allowed it, expecting another failure. But Kalen approached the situation differently than everyone else. He did not enter the cubs' space immediately. Instead, he sat outside their enclosure during his shift, reading books aloud. He did not look directly at them. He did not offer food or try to touch them. He simply read stories in his calm, steady voice. For 3 nights, nothing happened. On the 4th night, the smallest cub crept closer to the transparent barrier. Kalen kept reading, pretending not to notice. By the end of the week, all 17 cubs were pressed against the barrier, listening to his voice. Kalen began bringing his meals to eat near them. He chewed slowly, showing the food was safe. He drank water from the same dispenser they had. After 2 weeks, he left a plate of food inside the barrier and walked away. The cubs devoured it the moment he was gone. Slowly, over months, trust built like layers of sediment forming stone. Kalen learned their body language, their small sounds of comfort and distress. He learned that the largest cub, whom the staff had named Vash, was not aggressive but protective. Vash positioned himself between Kalen and the younger cubs, watching, evaluating, deciding if this human was truly safe. Kalen earned Vash's trust by showing patience. When Vash growled warnings, Kalen backed away. When Vash allowed him closer, Kalen moved slowly. Eventually, Vash let Kalen sit inside the enclosure. Then, one remarkable night, Vash rested his massive head on Kalen's lap. The other cubs followed their leader's example. Soon, they were climbing on Kalen, purring in their deep, rumbling way, playing gently with his hands. The transformation was miraculous. The cubs began eating regularly, playing with each other, and even tolerating other staff members as long as Kalen was present. Thesic called it unprecedented. The facility's therapists studied Kalen's methods, trying to understand the magic he performed. But Kalen knew it was not magic. It was simply respect. They needed someone who treated them like people, not patients, he told Thesic. Someone who let them choose trust instead of demanding it. Then came the day that shattered everything they had built. That Kalen's mother, back on Earth, fell seriously ill. The message arrived during his shift, and his hands shook as he read it. He had to leave immediately. There were no other human guards at the facility, and the next transport to Earth would not return for weeks. He went to say goodbye to the cubs, his heart breaking. Vash sensed something wrong immediately. The large cub pressed against Kalen, whining softly. The others gathered around, their eyes wide and worried. "I have to go," Kalen whispered, scratching behind Vash's ears. "But I will come back. I promise." He did not know if they understood, but he had to believe they did. The trouble started within hours of his departure. The cubs refused their evening meal. By morning, they had retreated to the far corner of their enclosure, piled together in a defensive heap. Vash stood guard in front of them, teeth bared at anyone who approached. Thesic tried everything. Other guards brought food. Therapists spoke soothingly. Medical staff offered treats the cubs had previously enjoyed. Nothing worked. The cubs would not eat, would not play, and would barely move. They simply waited, pressed together, their eyes fixed on the door where Kalen always entered. Days passed. The cubs grew weaker. Thesic authorized medical intervention, but Vash would not allow anyone close enough. 2 guards were injured trying to force entry. The situation became critical. On the 5th day, a junior technician named Myra had an idea. She found recordings of Kalen reading to the cubs from the security archives. She played them over the enclosure's speakers. The effect was immediate. The cubs' ears perked up. They lifted their heads, searching for the source of that familiar voice. But when they realized Kalen was not actually there, their distress deepened. Some of the younger cubs began making sounds the staff had never heard before. Hi, keening cries that sounded like grief. Thesic sent an emergency message to Earth. Kalen received it on his datapad while sitting beside his mother's hospital bed. His mother was stable now, recovering slowly. But 17 young lives across the galaxy were fading without him. His mother took his hand, her grip weak but firm. Go, she whispered. I will be fine. They need you more. Kalen kissed her forehead and ran. The journey back took 3 days of hard travel, catching emergency transports and calling in favors. He arrived at the facility exhausted, unshaven, still wearing the clothes he had left Earth in. Thesic met him at the entrance. Hurry, was all the director said. Kalen sprinted to Wing 7. The scene that greeted him stopped his heart. The cubs lay motionless in their pile, too weak to even raise their heads. Vash alone remained alert, barely, his eyes glazed with exhaustion. Kalen opened the enclosure door and stepped inside. I am back, he said softly. I am so sorry. I am back now. Vash's ears twitched. His head lifted slightly. Then, with a sound that was half cry and half purr, he struggled to his feet and stumbled toward Kalen. The human dropped to his knees and caught the cub as he collapsed into his arms. I am here, Kalen murmured, tears streaming down his face. I am here. One by one, the other cubs stirred. They crawled toward him, their movements weak but determined. Soon, all 17 were pressed against him, purring, crying, desperate for his touch and his presence. Kalen looked up at Thesic, who watched from the doorway with tears on her scaled cheeks. Bring food, he said. They will eat now. And they did.